friends. Imagine meeting someone for the first time in a social setting. Here's how a typical situation used to go for me. And I'll use an example. The other person would come up to me and say, "Hi, I'm Sasha." And I'd be like, "Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Shanil." A split second later, I have no idea what her name is. And she has no idea what my name is either, because I'm focusing on what she's saying, or I'm focusing on what I want to say next. How many of you have been in that situation before? Now imagine what happens the next time you bump into this person in another social gathering, in a different time and place, and you see them, and you know you recognize them, but you can't remember their name. That gets even more awkward. There have been times when I've been like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" When really what I should be saying is, "Hi, Sasha, how are you? It's great to see you again." That makes a world of a difference to the other person. If you want to build good relations, you've got to remember names. Paul Guo is someone I researched. He wrote an article on how to remember unusual names. In that he says, a person's name is very important to that person. It's the most important word that matters to that person, because it uniquely identifies that person's identity. Dale Carnegie, the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, even he says, a person's name is the most important sound in any language to him. So I think you can all agree with me that remembering someone's name is very, very important. Now I know what you're thinking. Man, Shanil, this is an awesome speech. I love your speech. I completely agree with everything you have to say. It's just that I can't remember people's names. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm going to show you how you can remember people's names. There's some simple tricks you can use, and this will really help you out. The first, it sounds very simple, and you're like, "Oh, this is lame," but it's repetition. When you meet someone for the first time, and you've introduced your name, you've introduced yourself to that person, and that person has introduced themselves to you, in your mind, repeat that person's name several times. Repetition allows it to stick. It'll stick in your mind. And when you finish your conversation, use that name. Say it out loud. "Nice to meet you, Sasha. I hope we meet again." That helps. The second tip I have for you guys is to be phonetically correct. It's pointless remembering a person's name if you're going to be butchering that person's name. Trust me, I have an unusual name, and people butcher my name all the time. Make every effort to remember a person's name and to pronounce it correctly. I was doing some research on the internet. I looked up Wikipedia, I looked up YouTube, and I was amazed at what I found. There are places in South Africa, there are over 30 languages there where they use clicks in their names. Clicks are sounds that represent consonants. So an example of a click is, imagine having words in your language that use words like. Now imagine remembering someone's name that has a click in it. I'm not kidding, there are people that have clicks in their names. And often these clicks are represented with an exclamation mark or a pound sign or an ampersand symbol, because there isn't a symbol in the English language to represent a click. So I completely understand. Remembering people's names that are unusual can be difficult, but it's still not an excuse. Imagine how much more it would mean to that person if you still remember their name. So I have an unusual name, and when people remember my name, it means a lot to me, especially when I'm just meeting them for the second time. Like, you remember my name. So if you really want to make a lasting impression, try and remember that name. The third tip I have for you is to use your imagination. When I see Art, where's Art? Is he here? When I see Art, when I look at him, I think of a beautiful picture, a beautiful painting that comes to my mind. That's what reminds me that his name is Art. Another trick you can use is to try and associate the name with a famous celebrity. who has the same name. So when I meet someone whose name is Michael, right, I associate him with Michael Jackson. And I see that person, I actually visualize that person doing the moonwalk. Or if his name was Bruce, I picture him, doing kung fu like Bruce Lee. So simple things like that. If you visualize that in your brain the first time you meet them, trust me, you remember their names. You don't have to act it out in front of that person. But if you do that in your head, you remember their names. Another trick to use is to think about what it sounds like. So some names can be fairly unusual. About 10 years ago, I met a person whose name was Mary Gardner. Right? And she only said it to me once, and ever since I remembered her name. Because what she did is she said, my name's Mary Gardner, and the way to remember my name, right, is to think of the nursery rhyme, Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? And ever since I haven't forgotten her name. When I introduce myself and I want people to remember my name, I say, hi, I'm Shanil. And it sounds like the clothing designer Chanel. Shanil, Chanel. And people usually get it when I use it that way. So these are the tips that I'd give you that you can use. Think about what it sounds like, use your imagination, be phonetically correct, and repetition. If you use these tricks, it'll really help you remember people's names. It'll help you build lasting relationships, and it'll help you avoid those awkward moments when you recognize someone but you just can't recall their name.